In America, many of the successful musicians of the 60s had by now settled into comfortable Beverly Hills lifestyles, playing music for the all-powerful FM radio. Typical of such bands was the Eagles, who came to epitomize the radio-friendly California rock sound. At its most powerful, rock and roll had appeared to offer a way of life, yet the lavish trappings of mid-70s rock culture suggested it was in danger of becoming just another leisure industry. It needed an injection of new energy. And it got it. The first stirrings of a new direction came from a young Boston guitar player who wrote short, direct songs about love and suburbia.
Well, out in the afternoon, out in the aeroplane, we'll share a modern love under suburban rain.
To me, rock and roll was about stuff that was natural anyway. Whether about drugs and space, it's about sex and boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff.
And act like a true girl. Oh.
See, I used to walk to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, and I used to go to the room where they would keep the paintings by Cézanne, see? Not because I understood anything about the paintings of Cézanne, but that's where all the BU girls hung out. Boston University, BU, Boston University. They had the big suede boots coming up to here, and they had the Gauloise cigarettes, and they had the long hair, and the brown suede jacket. Ooh, and I was very impressed. So, I just hung around there. I figured, boy, if I had a girlfriend, I could understand these paintings, and I could see right through them.
That's a girl.
Considered too eccentric ever to achieve commercial success, the album that Jonathan Richman and his group The Modern Lovers recorded in 1973 was enormously influential when it reached New York.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Songs like Roadrunner reminded people of an earlier age when the music on the radio was short, fun, and above all, easy to play. A time when the so-called garage bands of the 60s had more enthusiasm than ability. A time when rock and roll had been fun. A New York rock musician and critic decided not only to reissue some of the old garage band records, but to start playing them himself.
I often think of garage music as the real reason why people want to rock and roll in the first place, which is just pure desire.
Too many teardrops for one heart to be crying.
The garage bands became more important, their style, in the early 70s because rock and roll had gotten very complicated. Progressive rock, a sense that rock was an adult medium, a sense that complexity and song cycles and instrumental prowess and musicianship were the driving force.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The fact that you could play 3 chords and get up on a stage within a week was being lost.
Joining Lenny Kaye to play some of these old garage band songs was the poet, Patti Smith.
I used to work at a bookstore. I was a writer. And yet we loved the initial spark of rock and roll. And all of this kind of met and hung out together in a kind of unique mix that nobody could have predicted would have been heard anywhere but, you know, the Lower East Side of Manhattan.
New York is the thing that seduced me. New York is the thing that formed me. New York is the thing that deformed me. New York is the thing that perverted me. New York is the thing that converted me. And New York's the thing I love, too.
We weren't really sure what we were doing. We had a piano player, and he would play a few songs with Patti, then she'd do some poems, then I'd get up and do a couple guitar pieces. But there was never a feeling that we could have any kind of commercial success out of it.
The boy looked at Johnny. Johnny wanted to run, but the movie kept moving as planned. The boy gripped Johnny and pressed him against the locker. He drove it and he drove it home, he drove it deep in Johnny. The boy disappeared. Johnny found his knees, started pushing his head against the locker. Started pushing his head against the locker. Started tearing his deadly. It's the feeling he's been surrounded by horses, coming in all directions, white, shining, silver, stuck with the nose, and they saw
Smith's often improvised lyrics drew on the increasing toughness of New York City life. Other groups would soon do the same.
I was saying, let me out of here before I was even born.
I was saying, let me out of here before I was even born. It's such a gamble when you get a face.
I belong to the blank generation. And I can take it or leave it each time.
I belong to the blank generation, and I can take it or leave it each time. Well,
The hippie culture is what we wanted to replace. It failed, and it was pathetic. All these leftover people trying to pretend that, you know, handing out flowers was going to beat Nixon, you know.
The New York Dolls and the sort of glamour groups had long hair. We decided to forget that, you know, and the costumes and all that. We hated all this stuff. It seemed like not even funny pretense to us. And so we just sort of wore street clothes, which also happened to have, in some cases, safety pins.
I belong to the generation, but
We sure didn't look like any band in the world. I mean, we're the only band that had short hair, probably, in the world. And everybody worshipped us for it. They'd crawl into CBGBs. They were stacked up like these tires. So thirsty were they for reality.
At first, the only club that would let television and the Patti Smith group play was at the sleazy end of the Bowery. Another band soon joined them there. 4 teenagers changed their names, and with the cry, "All for one and one for all," became the Ramones.
hey, oh, let's go.
We first played CBGB's, and I think it was August of 1974. Basically, I think it was a country and western bar in the Bowery in New York, which is like a Skid Row section.